Let's rock.
Scooby doopity boop up, boopy boop doop boop scooby boop
Ooh. What the fuck's up, shitters? Welcome back to Nerd Shit in the Dark. There it is.
There you go.
There it is. All right. Welcome back, shitters.
Welcome back.
It has been a long time.
Certainly. A month.
A month.
Yeah.
Braden and I ran into Braden the Brad Neilster. Let me get you.
Right.
This is Chase the Chaz
I'm
Screepeck.
Braden the Brad Neilster.
And we are here, your hosts at Nerd Shit in the Dark, ready to bring you into a new era of Nerd Shit in the Dark.
New and improved.
New and improved.
No more mistakes.
No more mistakes. We took a month off to make sure that all silly, stupid, dumb mistakes are out of the way.
Yep.
A thing of the
Gonzo.
past. And we're really sorry about all that. We had a fantastic episode that we had recorded that just fell to shit. I know I kind of addressed it, but I'm going to really address it tonight, why we were gone for so long.
Tell them.
I forgot to click Braden's mic on in our Dune Avatar episode, which I was so excited to put out. That was going to be the one that was going to bring us to superstardom, I thought, because we were talking two very big topics at the time.
It was one of the best ones we've done in a while.
Lost it.
Yep.
But what I do plan to do, put, it is not a good episode. I mean, it's a good episode, but it's recorded shittily. Braden's mic, at least, because it's just mine amplified. I will be putting it on the Patreon, so if anybody cares to ever listen to it, you can listen to it there. Yeah. But I will not be putting it out for everybody to hear.
It's one of those lost episodes.
It is one of those lost episodes. Know that Braden and I really liked Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
And we
talked about it extensively. And
we were just fine with Avatar, The Last Airbender. Just fine with it.
Just fine.
And that's really all we got to say about that.
I think that about covers it.
Yeah.
And here's things happen, but not anymore.
No.
Because we nixed that.
Yeah. And we're back with all sorts of new stuff that I'm really pumped to talk about. Braden seems to be pretty pumped to talk about. But before we get into all that, how have you been? We haven't seen each other since the failure of the last episode.
Sure. Yeah.
We only hang out when we record.
I've been good. I've been relaxing, going to work, hanging out with Kaylee. Mm-hmm. Chilling out, taking some vacay time.
It's important.
Yeah. Getting some new nerd shit. Getting into some new nerd shit.
Yeah.
Certainly there's a few things I'm very excited about to talk about with you.
A lot happened over the past month. A lot of things came out. I got most of my new nerd shit is just literally new nerd shit. There's not a whole lot I got into that was like older, but maybe we'll see.
Most of my stuff is, my one thing is could be considered old shit, but the other stuff is new.
Okay. Well, I don't think we need to let the shitters wait a second longer.
Certainly not.
We've made them wait long enough.
We should get right into it.
And this is our apology comeback tour.
Hell yeah.
So, Braden, I'm going to ask you, I want to hear what you've been into. So why don't you do one of your things? I'll do one of mine. We'll go back and forth.
All right. So, on the topic of Dune, since we covered Dune Part 2, I read Dune.
Oh, the whole book.
The whole book.
You finally covered it.
Certainly did.
You've tried and tried and tried, and you couldn't do it before, but the movie inspired you.
It inspired me to go back to it. It gave me a bit more context that I needed and, like, a bit more buy-in, because, like, I know roughly where the story's going.
Sure.
So, like, after about those first 100 pages, I was starting to feel the slog again of, like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this book. But I kept going. I read it a few more chapters, and it did, like, really start to pick up. And it's a wonderful book.
It's a legend. I mean, it's I take it. It is. It's a legendary book. I mean, it's been out forever. It's sci-fi at its greatest.
Very hard sci-fi, but like with a mix of fantasy, It helped me understand a lot of the characters in the movie more.
Okay.
It helped me appreciate the movie adaptation way better.
Okay.
Because, I realize how good of an adaptation it is. And, some of the things that the movie changed, I agreed with. Cause
You're
it was
glad
like,
they did it.
Yeah, because, like,
I've seen some of I've watched a lot of videos post, and I did notice some of the changes they made, especially with, like, the little sister situation.
Oh, I get why these movies so far have not shown the little sister in the capacity that the book does.
Yeah.
That was a big change.
What? Yeah.
They condensed a lot of the timeline. Like, in the book, like, several years go by of, like, Paul fighting the Harkonnens on the planet. And so, like, his mother's obviously had the child already before, like, the stuff with the Emperor or anything goes down.
Whereas in the movie, it's, like, the next day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I get it because it's a very hard thing to adapt, especially with the tone of the movies. Having, like, basically, like, a 2 or 3 year old talk like an adult.
Sure.
Walking around.
And I really, I mean, I didn't read the book, but like I said, I've watched people talk. I know what happens in the book differently. I think it's really cool that they decided to go with a fetus talking.
Yeah.
To what's his mom's name again? Jessica. Yeah. I mean, that gave me such a vibe while watching the movie.
Yeah.
And
that was good because it went there, like, it adapted it as best as it could without having to deal with how do we cast a young child to speak like an adult, because that's what she is she's like has all the past memories of the Reverend Mothers, and so, like,
and it allowed in the movie for an adult to just say those lines.
Right.
Yeah. I like that. Now, with the book, one of my biggest questions about the book is, like, for instance, when we talked about the movie, we described it as sci-fi as fuck. Like, it's a movie that's very deep sci-fi movie-wise. Like, if you're going to watch a sci-fi movie, it doesn't get more sci-fi than that movie. Would you say the same about the book, like, as far as books go?
Oh, yeah. The book is even more sci-fi, I would say.
Yeah.
Because part of what can make the book very dense and hard to get through, something I learned to appreciate later on, was, like, how detailed they go into, like, certain aspects of the world. Like, there's whole chapters just, like, going over the inventory of the Arrakis fleet or whatever that they have, like, their forces. Like, it's just people talking about, like, how much machinery they have and, like, what's broken and stuff like that. And it's, like, interesting from a world building perspective, but sometimes it can be hard to get through book wise.
Yeah.
But it's very well done and helps me appreciate this world a lot more. But yeah, it's very hard sci-fi. Yeah.
Which was one of the things about it. Well, not so much the sci-fi-ness of it, but I know that you said before you were reading it, and the way it's written was a little dry for you.
Yeah.
Did that change? Like, did you get to a point where that stopped being this, or did the movie
it changed
help
once
with that?
I settled into it.
Yeah.
Like, just like how he describes certain things. Could definitely tell the, like, acid inspirations from the way he writes, because, like, a lot of it is, like, very, like, meta commentary and, like, people looking, like, outside at, like, the third view of themselves and, like, talking about, like, that in detail for paragraphs.
To read that,
yeah.
I know it gets more like that I've heard.
Yes, it gets more off the rails, trippy. Yeah.
Have you read any of the other ones, or did you just read
started Dune Messiah. Okay. I'm only a few chapters in.
Okay. I made the decision that I'm going to wait to watch them. I don't want to be spoiled, because I was really, you know me, I was into that movie.
Yeah.
And I want to know more where things go. But I think I just really like that movie so much that it's one of those situations where I'd rather watch the movie than read the book.
Right.
Yeah. So I put off reading. I know it takes place like a number of odd years later, like a lot of years later.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's all I really know about Messiah.
Yeah, that's all I'll tell you.
Someday down the road when the movie comes out. I do intend to read Dune, the first book. I was gonna read it. I'm still working on the sequel to the Empire of the Vampire book that Jake got me into.
I want to get into that.
I'm now reading the second one, and the second one's really good, but I have slow, like, where I read the first one in like 2 weeks. I've been taking my time with the second one.
Right.
Because it's one of those situations where the second one just came out. Like, I read the first one really quick because it was like, "Ooh, the second one's coming." But I don't want to finish this one really fast and then have to wait.
Right.
As long as I'm probably going to have to. But once I'm done with that book, I intend to read Dune. Because I got really... March was a long month. Dune 2 feels like forever ago.
Right.
Even though it was like a month ago. But
that's wild to think about.
It's on the van. I do intend to read it. It's not a super big book. It's only like 600. No. The version on the van, at least, is only like 600 pages. So
yeah, you could get through it.
Yeah. So
it's like a Harry Potter book.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a little. Yeah.
It's more adult.
Yeah. I heard that some of the like battle scenes in the movie are very like just discussions in the books.
Yes.
Like, so that's a little different. But I guess but it works for a book.
Right. Because it like leaves it up to your imagination, like better than actually describing it. But
what would you say you prefer? Did you like the movie more or do you like the book more?
I like both for different reasons. I would have to watch the movie again just to like get a final perspective, but probably movie.
It was a good movie.
Yeah.
I immediately, like the week it came out, I think Amazon was like, you can pre-order the Steelbook version of the 4K Blu-ray. And I was like, pre-order.
Well.
Let's get that fucking going. Because I really vibed with that movie. I can't wait to watch it again when I have it.
For sure.
But
fantastic book. I think you'll have a fun time with it.
Yeah, I once I finish this Empire of the Damned book, I do intend to read Dune. Yeah. Because the version we have on the van is very pretty. It's a very like hollow cover. I don't know one.
There's some pretty Dune artwork out there. I've seen a lot of versions of it lately.
Really nice. So that alone, like the outer edges of the pages are a light blue color, kind of like the water they drink.
That's cool.
It is a really cool. So like that alone, it's been on the van since I started, but I've never sat and read it because the first movie didn't vibe with me at first.
Right.
Now it does. When we watched it with Jake, I appreciated it a lot more. Once you compare something to Lord of the Rings, I'm like, I get it now.
Right.
That's the thing that really draws me in. But that's cool. How long did it take you to read it? Like once you actually sat, because like you said, you had trouble reading it. Couple weeks. Yeah. So you still like took your time on it.
I took my time on it. There was days where I didn't read it and days where I read multiple chapters.
Nice.
It was worth it. That's my old new nerd shit.
Sure. Okay. What do I want to talk about first? This is what I think this is a good one to start with. Because it's very similar to Dune. It's very similar to Dune in a sort of way. I'm sure you heard over the month I wanted to address this on the show because it is pretty important. Yeah. But Akira Toriyama died. You and I haven't really got to talk about this at all. But that was a big hit.
For sure.
Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball Z, all that jazz.
A legend, yeah.
I woke up at 4 a.m. and I checked my phone like I do sometimes when I wake up to check IGN. And there was an article saying that he died. And man, that one hit me. That one hit me pretty hard. Like, a lot of people know Dragon Ball Z and they're not like how we are and we know like the authors of manga and shit, but like we do. So when I read that, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I know this guy.
He's been around for a long time.
And I mean, I'm not me in a lot of ways if it isn't for that man. Like, a good chunk of my childhood is me playing in a living room somewhere, whoever's house I'm at, and I am pretending to play something that has me at some point turning into a Super Saiyan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, big influence.
We've all tried to go Super Saiyan before.
Of course. I mean, huge. So, like, when I saw that news, I knew immediately. I was like, we're going to have to talk about this on the show.
Yeah.
And so what I did to prep for that was Miranda and I they put out a new anime that was his creation. It's called Sandland. I don't know if you've heard about this.
I've seen Reddit posts with it.
Yeah. So the manga came out a while back. Like, I remember when Shonen Jump first came to America and we had like volumes that you could buy at like Bilo. They had chapters of Sandland in it. I never really read it because I didn't really know what it was at the time. But it was really quick. It's not a very long manga. It tells one quick story. But the anime came out. I think they put a movie out for it last year. So the first arc in the anime is just that movie chopped up into 6 episodes. And then they added Akira Toriyama, before he died, wrote this second arc that's now airing like as we speak weekly. Is like a continuation to Sandland.
Okay.
And we're currently still watching. We're about caught up. I think we're 1 episode out, but we watched. I wanted to make sure we at least got the original Sandland arc out of the way before we got to this show.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this show, man.
Describe it to me. What's it like?
So one of the things I want to talk about is like the animation style they kind of gave to it. Did you see when Dragon Ball Superhero, the movie came out, and they had it kind of like in that, it's like CG anime?
Yeah.
So they did that again with this, but it's like, it's gotten even better. Even though I thought it worked really well, Akira Toriyama's art style works really well in CG animation. And every time I see a new CG anime, it gets, because we watched Dragon Ball Superhero, and we liked it in that. And then we watched Trigun Stampede, which was also like that. And we were like, oh, wow, they're getting a lot better with this CG anime.
Right.
Because it doesn't always look good.
No.
It looked good in this. So Sandland drops. I mean, it looks so good. There was a point today we were watching one of the episodes that I kind of forgot that's what we were watching. It was something in CG. It's so well done. So that's just how it looks. I really enjoyed the artwork of it. The show itself, very charming, because it's like, it's kind of OG Akira Toriyama. It's more like Dragon Ball than it is like Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, okay.
It's humor, but like it's got a serious story. It has a very big mix of like, it's
humor.
It's humorous, but it's also serious. There's stuff going on that's very serious, and then in the middle of it, there's a character that when they go to bed at night, he dresses up in a Santa Claus outfit with no explanation. He's just in a Santa Claus outfit. Also, when he goes to like, his name is Thief. So before I get into all that, there are people in this world, in the Sandland. So the idea of this world is like 50 years ago, it stopped raining, water stopped being a source in the world, and the world became like a desert.
Hence the sand.
Wow. And there's a whole story. The 6 episodes covers why that's the case. You don't even know it's a mystery until like the 3rd episode of why it's like that. And then you're like, oh, there's a reason the world is like this. But in this world, there are fiends that are kind of like demon people.
Okay.
So there's this group of people that don't live with the humans because the humans hate them. They're racist against the fiends.
I think demons are cool.
And these ones are great. And there's this whole, and then there's a human, an old man. His name is General Shiva, I think is his name. Rao is his first name, but he goes by Shiva. And what he looks like to me is like, he's this old man. He's got this small, like short gray hair, but he's got like Vegeta eyes. Like he looks like if Vegeta got really old and lost his hair. But he's a cool character. And he goes and meets up with the fiends because he hears a fiend saves a child. And he's like, maybe the fiends will help me find this hidden spring. There's apparently this spring that's hidden somewhere in Sandland that can bring water because there's a king that's keeping all the water and like selling water for an enormous price.
Like Mad Max vibes.
Like Mad Max vibe. So it's like that. And it's only 6 episodes that covers this first Sandland arc. But I really liked it. And the demons, or the fiends, I keep calling them demons, but they're called fiends. There's the main one. His name is Beelzebub. He's like this short, he's like Kid Goku. Think like Kid Goku, but like he wants to be bad. Like he wants to be bad so bad. Like he always tells people like, I'm evil, dude. I don't wash my hands after I pee. Like shit like that. Like he gives like reasons why you should think he's evil, but it's always just like this little, I stayed up till 11 o'clock last night playing video games. And it's like, oh. So he's like the main fiend that joins with this guy. And then there's this other one. His name is Thief, who's like this old man fiend who's just a goofy guy. He's the one that dresses up as Santa. Right. But he's really good at stealing. So he also dresses up as Santa when he like goes on a heist to like steal them stuff. And good characters. Like it's got 3 really solid main characters, and then there's the bad guys, and then there's this one bad guy that kind of becomes a good guy, and there's twists. Anime. Well, there was lots of twists along the way. Like it's the first 6 episodes was all there was of this manga for a long time. Right. It was just like a one shot that he wrote. But like the pacing's so good. Like I remember when we got to the 4th episode, Miranda was like, "Oh, I can't believe they got to this point already in the show," because it went from like goofy and then it gets serious all of a sudden, and you're learning all these facts. Like for 6 episodes, I really had a good time. I thought it was a fun little story. It's Akira Toriyama being funny, which he loses a little bit by the end of Dragon Ball Z. Like there's still humor in Dragon Ball Z, don't get me wrong, but it gets very serious. This felt like Dragon Ball, but just in a new type of world with new really fun characters.
How long were each episode?
20 minutes, your regular anime episode. Wow. And like I said, the second arc is taking place right now. And it's at episode, we've watched 8. I think the 9th episode coming out. There's going to be 13, and then it's going to be done.
You could realistically knock that out in an afternoon.
Oh, for
watching
sure.
The whole series.
We watched it just like a day at a time to watch the first arc. And then we kind of, we're working our way. And every Wednesday a new episode comes out. But like, it's simple. It does what it needs to do. Like Dragon Ball Z, Akira Toriyama, he's not writing fucking Death Note type of stuff. No. It's not like Full Metal Alchemist plots. But there is like, there's some good shit in there, and
some charm,
some charming. That's a good. Would you say that's a good word for a Sandland? A very charming series. Yeah. And I found it similar to Dune because sand. Right. It's a world in sand, and
it sounds pretty hardcore.
And you find out some story, some history. There's some moments that characters really feel things that you're like, oh my god, I get why this is really serious all of a sudden. Oh my god. So it was nice to pay tribute to an author that has really shaped my entire existence by watching his newest thing. There's a game coming out on PlayStation. It's based on the anime. I've been looking forward to the game longer than I knew about the anime. One day I was just on Hulu and I was like, oh fuck, they put Sandland out. I gotta watch that.
Wow.
So yeah, and like I said, I remember it when it was in Shonen Jump, but I wasn't reading it back then. I didn't care when I was like 10 for like humor. I just wanted the action of anime. I just wanted the fights.
Blow through that.
Yeah, I was too busy reading Shaman King and Naruto to give a shit about something funny. But like the Fiends are like the Beelzebub. He's like the prince of the Fiends, and he has like powers. Like, there is fighting in it, and there is like similarities to Dragon Ball Z in it as well, but it definitely leans more in the humor side, which honestly
is fine.
I think that's
and you
where
said it looks great.
Toriyama it looks that CG anime style. I'd be happy if more shows did it. For the longest time I was like, ooh, don't do that all the time, but now I'm like, you could make this work. I think there's certain things about it that don't work, and I think there's certain things about it that do work. I think that you need to, like for instance in normal anime when there's those really eccentric moments, I don't think they nail those in the CG style like they do in the hand-drawn style.
They still attempt them in the CG
They still attempt them, but it just seems so like, I don't know. Like it's almost in the hand-drawn version, there's like, they get their own frames where it's like the frame doesn't change in the CG ones, and all of a sudden there's a character just being like, really eccentric, and it doesn't feel as good, but that's something they can figure
manga,
out.
But not in a... in that form.
Right. And maybe they'll figure that out. I don't know. But, totally recommend it for like a quick,
And where can you find it?
It's on Hulu. It's on Disney Plus. Hulu or Disney Plus. It's also on the internet. You can watch it in English and Japanese. We've been watching it in Japanese. Pick your poison.
Nice.
So that's one of my things for new nerd shit. So now I'm gonna throw that baton back to you, buddy.
Got it. Yeah, so my second new nerd thing that I wanted to talk about was Helldivers 2.
Helldivers 2.
Boy, oh boy.
That's right. You brought that up to me on the phone last week.
Yep, I have been playing it a lot more than I have expected.
Tell me everything you can about it, because I've heard of it. Of course I've heard of it. I just don't know a damn thing about it.
So it's a third-person, like, over-the-shoulder shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's essentially like... You are Helldivers who are like soldiers of Super Earth. Super Earth is like, Earth, but it's super. But super. It's spread out among the stars. Like we've spread out and colonized our galaxy. But
so Earth is a multiple planets. Is that how I'm supposed?
Super Earth is like
multiple.
The main planet in control, and also it's like ruled by what they call managed democracy, which is essentially just fascism. Like it's like the military essentially controls like Earth and everything.
Yeah. Your classic sci-fi.
Yeah, and they play that up a lot. It's like heavily inspired by Starship Troopers.
Right, you
like,
said that.
Yeah, where it's like, you know, kind of satirizing sending these people to like their death in like this major galactic war. Because what happens is like this alien race known as the Terminids, which are like a bug species, which look very similar to the bugs in Starship Troopers,
yeah,
invade our galaxy and like start taking over planets. And you find out that like part of it is because like we did stuff to provoke them, because like we're constantly spreading out and like trying to take over more planets.
Always the real problem.
Yeah. But yeah, we inadvertently started this bug invasion, that's Terminid invasion, and so like the Galactic War kicked off, and so like they're drafting among the citizens of Super Earth with all these like messages of patriotism that's like really played up in like a comedic manner. Like the opening video is like from the Ministry of Truth, and it's like an advertisement to become a Helldiver, and it's like this guy in a neighborhood, and he's just like, liberty, and like turns around and like waves at his wife and child, and then like all of a sudden a Terminid pops out of the sewer and like rips them apart.
That's the bug.
Yeah,
that's what they're called, the Terminid.
The Terminids, yeah.
Ooh, okay.
It rips them apart.
So there is a storyline to this game. There is like a solo campaign.
So that's one of the unique...
Everything I see about it seems like it's a multiplayer game.
Yes, that's one of the unique things about this game. Because I'm not normally into like straight first-person shooters, third-person shooters.
Right,
like
you've talked about that on the show, that you hung up your Xbox controller, I believe
certainly,
you said
but I'm playing
ago.
it on my PC.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really into those games. Like, I used to find them enjoyable, but
you
like...
said they make you angry.
They do.
So that's why you
angry.
stopped.
This doesn't really make me angry, because it's more like ridiculous sometimes how you die, and it's like...
So you just accept it.
Very funny. You just accept it, because it's meant to like parody like...
Sure.
People just dying all the time.
That's how I feel about like Souls games, is like it's just supposed to be stupid hard.
Yeah, because they tell you like canonically every time your guy dies, it's replaced with like a brand new person. It's not like a clone of like your same guy. So it's saying like all this time, like whenever you're fighting over planets, there's stats of like how much, like how many Helldivers have died, and it's like, you know, millions. And
oh my god, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, the unique aspect of this game is there is a storyline, and the multiplayer community essentially like goes through that storyline together, where like, you know, all of a sudden automatons invade the galaxy, and like that's a new event. And so like every week the developers will send out a major order, which is like attack this planet or defend this planet, and it like puts priority on like certain planets that are being attacked, but like you don't have to do it. And so like if not enough people in the community do those orders, you can fail an order, and it will like affect like your games, like like everyone's games across. Like suddenly a new enemy will appear, or like they'll get like, you know, upgraded armor or stuff like that.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and like they're constantly adding new changes to the game and like expanding the storyline. Like we recently just like destroyed all the robots that were invading, and they're saying like it's over, like you can't fight the robot faction anymore. But they're saying like everyone's saying like there's gonna be some new threat that's going to probably appear next week that like like it might be entirely new faction.
Definitely.
And so like
that's the driving
you get to kind of like live that out, and like people like coordinate on Reddit and like other social media and Discord, and like of like which planets to prioritize attacking, so you can like get the major orders. And like
everybody who's playing this game is connected in a way.
It shows you like who all in the world is like on certain planets. And like who's like attacking certain planets more, and like who's making progress, or like which planets are losing.
I feel like that's a tough game for the developers to just manage, man.
It's very
I knew
impressive.
I had heard it had like some issues at launch, not like huge ones, but enough that people were talking. But I had heard so much. Nos tried to have me buy it for my PlayStation, and I considered it because it's rather cheap. It's only like a $40 game.
Yeah, it's $40.
Is it connected like multi-platform, or are all the computer people on one server? Or
you can do cross-platform.
Crossplay.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I watched a little gameplay of it because I had been hearing so much about it, but I just didn't. I didn't get it. I didn't get what about it from what I was watching was so different that it was such a big deal. Yeah. And I heard it's very different than even the first one. Yeah, Nos and them played the first one, and apparently it's a very different game. Who are you playing this with? People? Or are you playing it by yourself?
I typically play with like random people.
Random people?
Yeah.
Nobody else?
Dylan played with me once.
Dylan.
Yeah.
I knew I had a feeling Dylan was playing this game with him. Apparently not that much, though.
No.
Not a lot of Dylan.
No, I've been playing a lot more, so
Yeah.
he's been playing other stuff.
Dylan, I want you to know if you watch this show that this is all just a bit that I do, but I love making you my villain in my life. It's funny. Fucking Dylan. I mean, you didn't ask me to play. I might have played.
I didn't think you'd be interested in it.
I like that we haven't seen each other in a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to not see each other's faces for that long.
I mean that in the best possible way. It made this return all the better. Let's not do that again. But
No.
we haven't even played Baldur's Gate. Like nothing.
No, we haven't played
Nothing.
Baldur's Gate in a long time.
Yeah.
We finished Act 2, basically.
We're about done. Yeah.
Yeah.
The next time we play, we will finish Act 2. But back to Helldivers. So it's a shooter, right? You said third person shooter.
Yeah, so it's like you get like certain
Space weapons.
Yeah, space weapons. You can call down orbital strikes. You can call
And
in.
it's just you. You're just controlling your character, right?
Yes.
You don't
Yeah,
do
you only control one person at a time, and you have a team of 3 other people, and it's really fun to like attack objectives and stuff because like it's big maps that you have to go to, and like different maps depending on which planet you're on. That
all
are, like,
sorts of planets.
Yeah, with like different environmental factors.
How crazy is it that a game like Starfield comes out, and the whole draw of Starfield is like you get to go to all these planets, and then it comes out and nobody really gives a shit. And then there are these other games that keep popping out that let you go planet to planet that are nailing it.
Because they're unique. Like each planet has a unique challenge. Like there's one that had like a meteor shower, and like the one that we just were on had like frequent sandstorms where like you wouldn't be able to see anything, and shit like that. Yeah, and it's very fun and satisfying to like just call down bombs.
And there's like a leveling system, like your character.
Yes, you level up and like
RPG-ish as
you
well.
get like depending on how much mission objectives you complete, you get like certain money to go towards buying better equipment.
Now you said when your character dies, you don't come back as a clone. You just have a new character, or
the creator said canonically every time your character dies, it's reinforced with a completely new person.
But it's still the character you made.
It's still the character you made. Like it looks
but
exactly
it's
like
different. And your level count doesn't go down.
No.
Okay.
There's no penalties.
I was
to
wondering
that.
how they. Yeah.
No, you keep your levels, and like you can get some really cool stuff later on.
I'll tell you what, man. I am interested.
Yeah.
I am very interested. I've been interested. It's one of those things that like you hear a lot about, but you got too much other shit you're working on that you don't have time to really check in on it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was with Baldur's Gate for a long time. Like for probably a couple months, I had been hearing about it before I was like, well, okay, let's see what this is about.
I think you would enjoy it.
I'm more of a shooter guy than I am an RPG guy.
Yeah.
So, Kate and I have been recently playing Halo Infinite together, the campaign. So, like, I've recently started doing that's what we do Wednesday nights. I have a Wednesday night date with him to play that. So, I could see me doing that with other games.
Yeah, you should hop on.
I never followed up with NOS.
It is challenging.
Yeah. No, I mean, I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't want to play a fucking video game.
But it is fun
challenging.
because, like, it rewards you for, like, the higher difficulty missions you do. Like, you can get better materials to, like, go towards better, to buy better weapons.
I really, really like the idea of, like, the story is constantly being kind of added to you as weeks go on, and it changes by how it's played.
It shows you at the end of
Video games have really come a long way.
Yeah, it literally shows you at the end of each mission how much of a global effect your success on the mission had towards like the global goal, and like it's usually like just like 0.1%, but it's still cool to watch it like the planets go up to 100% because enough people are on that planet. Like,
well, a lot of people are playing this game. I mean, like I said, I've heard a lot about it over the month. Like it was like Power World when Power World came out, but instead where I was playing Power World, I wasn't playing this.
And you know what? I think another aspect of why this game doesn't make me angry like games like Call of Duty do, is because it's players versus environment. Like
instead of players versus players.
Instead of players versus players, you can friendly fire people, but people do tend to avoid doing that. It does inevitably happen, which it's usually funny when it happens because it's usually an accident.
Yeah.
Because like you have a shit ton of like just heavy explosive weapons that can blow people up if they don't talk to each other.
It's one of those things too, is if it is on purpose, you and the person know that it was on purpose.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
But yeah, you're encouraged to work together, and like it is easier when you have a team of 4.
I mean, you know me, man. I am also somebody that prefers playing with people than against people.
Yeah, so that's why I don't get
it.
upset, because it's even if you like get your ass kicked by the AI, you still feel happy about it because you.
I'd have to test that, because for me, I'm very different. Where like, yes, people online do make me mad, but also video games just themselves make me mad too. So I'd have to test that. But the same thing with Halo Infinite with Caitlin and I is like it's just him and I together fighting the computer, and like if I want to just shoot him and kill him for funsies, he gets that it's just funsies and it doesn't really matter. He'll be right back. I might check it out if it goes on any sales. Because there's so many games, so little time, but so little money.
Absolutely.
But I am interested, and I'm glad we've had this discussion, because I've been just hearing about Helldivers. I watched there were things that I watched about that still didn't like really give me a good painting of the picture. Yeah. But I think you've just given me are you dying a lot in this game?
Certainly.
Like
you die a lot. It's expected.
Okay.
Especially when you get into the harder difficulties, because you'll literally be surrounded by like 70 enemies, which like are all armored, and you need to like blow up. And so people die a lot.
I'm interested.
Like part of the reason.
Now, I guess... sorry, make your point, and then I'll ask my question.
I was just gonna say, like, one of the changes for why like the community failed that major order like a week ago, like drop ships and like airships showed up on the map then, and like started like doing air attacks then on players like randomly, like you don't
see it coming,
get any updates or anything, like it just happens in game.
That is so interesting.
Like the developers don't tell you when things are about to change.
Good.
Yeah.
I think that's probably half the draw.
And there's been like a lot of hints in like the game and like the press that like another faction's about to invade our galaxy as well.
That makes sense why I keep seeing more and more news. I see a lot of news about it, right? I don't read it, but I see like the articles, and I'm like, oh wow, this game is still just... So my question now is like, if somebody buys the game now, like, are they just thrown into where the story is?
Where the story is currently, yeah.
You wouldn't do any of those old missions you had already done?
No.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because even when you jump into World of Warcraft, like, you have to go back to the start and, like, work your way forward.
You're thrown right into the story, because it's meant to be just, like, it's a galactic war that's never ending.
That is so interesting. Video games, especially online video games, have really come a long fucking way.
For sure.
Now I really get an understanding why I'm hearing so much about this game then. I don't know when I'll get around to it, but I'll tell you what, I'm more interested now than I was before.
Yeah.
I'd have to play with friends, though. That's one of those games that, like, I don't like playing with random people online. I've never really...
It can be hit or miss.
Stranger danger.
Sometimes you can get, like, a really good team, and then other times you get really annoying people.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, if I played, I'd play with friends.
Yeah.
Maybe I should see if Nos and them have been playing. Check PlayStation. I've been on my PlayStation in a little while. Nice.
Yeah.
So you've been playing that how long now?
Several weeks.
She's been watching you play it for a little bit now.
She has been, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's seen me play a few matches.
It only dropped like a month ago, right?
Yeah.
Over a month ago.
Oh, speaking of which, just another aspect to go at this game, it does really well at making you seem very badass, or like feel very badass, because it's like has like this really good music that like is like orchestral and like, has very high notes and stuff when you're getting rescued, and like it's very catchy.
Music does something.
And it's supposed to like, make you feel like patriotic, like you're doing it for Super Earth.
Super Earth.
You're spreading democracy
Super
everywhere.
Earth. Yeah. Fuck. Huh. That's cool, dude. I'm definitely interested. You've piqued my... That's what I love about this show.
Yeah.
Is sometimes we just pique each other's interest.
Just pique.
I don't know when I'll get around to this game, but I do want to play it.
I mean, there's no signs of it stopping. In fact, it's probably just going to escalate from here.
As you would hope with these kind. I mean, it's the same thing with all these like games. Like if you would have told me in 2000 and what was it, 6, 7, when World of Warcraft dropped, that it'd still be going on now, like I would have called you crazy.
Yeah.
Even though I liked it, I was like, no way. They just released a new expansion recently, so It's hard to say. I want to get around to that, and this is not something I'm going to talk about tonight on this show. It's just something I want to let you know, and I will be discussing it further. I haven't gotten into it much at all, but
yes,
what will deter me a little bit from playing Helldivers is I started a game series that I know that you are a huge fan of.
Oh.
And take a guess. What game do you think? It's very similar to Helldivers in a way.
Mass Effect?
I started Mass Effect.
You started Mass Effect.
I started it. I'm very early on in it.
For the first time ever.
For the very first time, I got the Legendary Edition.
I don't think I ever actually known if you...
I'd never played it.
Never played them?
I've never played it. And you know what really pushed me on the fact was I'm not somebody who's usually into like the pick your story, pick what you say, but Baldur's Gate kind of changed that about me.
Really?
So I was like, this looks like space Baldur's Gate in a shooter.
Basically is.
At the end of the day, don't get me wrong, I love how you battle in Baldur's Gate, but I am more of somebody that wants to fucking shoot a gun and shit. Like I'm a shooter player more than I'm a turn-based RPG player.
Did you give yourself biotic powers?
I mean, dude, I'm very early on. I'm on the first mission still.
Oh, okay.
Of the first game, but I mean, just having the guns that I have, you know,
it's nice.
It's nice. I like it so far. Like I haven't really got a lot. I just started it last week.
Yeah, so you're
I'm playing other games.
You're on Mass Effect 1.
Mass Effect 1. The Legendary Edition was free on Game Pass, so I can only play it on my Xbox. That's what makes it also a little hard.
Mass Effect 1 was interesting for me because...
I heard 2's the best.
I started the series with Mass Effect 2. I'd never played 1 before I played 2.
Okay.
And before 3 came out, I wanted to go back and play 1. And I had a really rough time in the beginning of it.
Yeah, I heard they made some like adjustments in 2 that...
There's a ton of adjustments in 2. The
Yeah.
combat is way better in 2. It's a lot more fun.
I think the combat's fine where I'm at as it is, but I could, I get that.
But the thing with Mass Effect 1 is, for me, it was like hard to get used to and like really hard in the beginning. And like almost to the point where like I didn't find it fun.
Sure.
But then like I finished the first mission and like got into the story, and then like the game really picked up for me. And like once you like level up and get to a certain point, like the leveling system I actually really liked.
Okay. Yeah, I have to play it a lot more before I can really get into it.
It's a very different style from 2 like kind of simplifies and tweaks certain things, but 1 has a charm of its own.
I guess I've never played 2, but I am charmed by what I'm playing. Like I said, I love that it's a lot like Baldur's Gate, but with guns.
Yeah, it's a really good story.
The system is I've never played a shooter with like the controls this game is for some things. Like there's a lot of times where I'll just randomly throw a grenade, and I was like, oh, that's not usually the grenade button in other games.
Right.
Which I think they updated the graphics when they put out the Legendary Edition, but they didn't change the control scheme. I get that an old ass 360 game, the first game in the series, is like what it is.
Right.
But what I really like about, which I'm curious about with your playthrough, but I like how all the games, your file kind of transfers to the second one, and your story continues.
That's the way to play.
That's so cool. So you started with 2. When you went back to 1, that was just you like.
So before 3 came out, I'd played 2 like 2 or 3 times.
Okay. Okay.
And so when I went back to 1, I made a new character. Played all the way through to 1, and like ended up having a lot of fun. So I transferred my character to 2, did another Mass Effect 2 run, finished 2, then 3 came out, and then I transferred that character over to 3.
Okay. That seems like a good way to do it. Yeah, I should have known, because I knew this was one of your favorite game.
Oh yeah, I played
series.
Mass Effect 2 like a lot.
It's one that I completely neglected during the time when it came out. It was, new games, new things for me in general are tough sometimes. So like I wasn't ready.
It's hard to get into
I saw
new
that
stuff,
it was like the
especially
talkie.
It's kind of older now too, and
I remember Jessica got into it. And anytime I'd watch her play, it was always like during a talk session, and I was just like, "Did you ever play this fucking game or just talk?"
I like the talking parts. I love the talking parts.
I do too now. Like Baldur's Gate changed me, and now I'm all about it.
Yeah,
and
you get into the characters.
And I like I said, I don't got a lot to say, and I will talk about this more as I get into it. Don't expect me to play through all 3 of them. It's going to be one of those things where I play the first one, take some time off, play the second one. I'm not going to be able to binge all 3 of these games.
The second one.
I'm liking it so far. But I don't really have a lot to say about it. I just wanted to let you know I'm playing it.
I'm excited for you.
It reminds me of kind of the stuff you're telling me about Helldivers.
For sure. It's definitely what would future warfare look like.
Yeah. And it's what's going to essentially, for the time being, be what kind of holds me back from starting Helldivers, because I'm already playing a game that's
future space.
basically it.
I'm
also playing Halo.
I can't get me enough of space games.
That's fair. I have to jump around. My autism is just like, try to get everything from every type of fashion.
Right.
That wasn't really going to be my next thing that I was going to talk about, though.
Okay.
God, and I have a couple, and I don't really know what to go with.
Sling
but
it
I think
off.
since we're on video games, I will talk about video games before I talk about a couple shows I want to bring up.
Go for it.
But I did start and begin playing Dragon's Dogma 2.
I saw.
Yeah.
On your computer.
Yes. I'm not also I'm a bit farther into it than I am with Mass Effect, but I can't tell you that I'm like super. I think I played it about 7 or 8 hours, but enough to like get an idea of what the game is.
Did you make a good character?
I made a pretty cool fucking character. What I really liked about the character is I recently got a new like top piece for him.
Yeah.
That looks exactly like the outfit that I wore to the Renaissance Fair this year.
Yeah.
And I just took a picture of me and the guy, because I made my guy basically look like me as well, but with a gray beard. And I was like, look, it's fucking me from the Renaissance Fair. So that's been fun. You
climbed on some monsters.
I've climbed on some monsters. So
That's
like
a fun part.
I played the first one. I would say if you like the first one, this one is that, but upgraded.
Right.
It's certainly upgraded. It almost plays similarly, but you know what I mean? Like the feel of it. It's like they didn't like update it to like modern how games should feel. But it kind of works still, though. Like, it works for the kind of world that you're in.
Right.
Very pretty game. When it came out, I heard a lot of people complaining, especially on the Steam forums, that, like, it wasn't running properly for them. When I go into big cities, it lags a little, but, like, I don't know what the fuck they're all talking about.
Because you have a good computer now.
I guess, but, like, some of these people were, like, have way better computers than me online, and were like... it's unplayable, it gave me a migraine, and I'm sitting here like, when does that take place? Like, maybe the way it feels, like I said, it feels like a game that came out in 2012,
right?
But I don't know, I'm having a pretty good time with it. And you've played the first one, so I don't gotta explain too much about it. But to those who don't know what I'm talking about, Dragon's Dogma 2 is the sequel to the original Dragon's Dogma game that came out in 2012 or 13, something like that. It's an RPG. It's an action RPG, I guess, because it's not really turn-based. Set in like a fantasy world where your character loses his heart because a dragon takes it out and eats it, and then you become the Arisen.
I remember that. I distinctly remember that.
Same
scene.
idea. So this game really isn't a sequel as it is like a reboot. Called 2, but like it's, you know, you're kind of, there's a little difference in the story, but it's still essentially the same thing.
Same concept.
You're the Arisen, and you know you can summon pawns, yada yada yada.
Yep.
And your goal
How
right now,
pawns?
the goal is there's another person who's claiming to be the Arisen, and like he rules the Empire. So we got to prove that I'm the actual Arisen.
Yeah, go kill him.
That's the story I'm at right now. I don't know how long or if that's going to be the whole game, but
how many pawns do you have?
You can get up to 4, and you can switch them out. I think that's how many you could have in the other one as well, 4. So, but the same thing where, like, in the first game, the pawns, they talk so much, and it's so goddamn annoying. And I was hoping when the second one came out...
They fixed that.
If they talked a lot, they'd at least be saying different things, because, you know, it's 10 to 11, 12 years later.
Right, record more lines.
Nope, they're still just saying the same fucking shit a lot. It's funny. It's annoying, but it's funny, so you put up with it. I don't know.
Kind of becomes white noise.
There's a lot of things about it that I'm like, you think they would have like changed this, but I guess they
wanted to preserve the quality of the original game.
I guess. There's probably a setting that makes you make them talk less. Because they just keep saying...
I'm sure there's a mod for it.
There's still a lot... Like, what they say is relevant sometimes to what's going on, but, like, there's also times where it's just, like, multiple times the one bitch kept being like, have you ever realized that all of us are different vocations? And then another guy would respond with, like, yes, our different abilities allow us to be better. Or something like that. And it was just, like, that conversation would keep happening over and over and over a period of time. And it's just like, yeah, I know. Have I ever thought it? I did. I thought it the last time you brought it up.
Wasn't the point that they're like not real humans? They're just kind of like dolls.
Sort of, but the way, like I said, the
They're called
graphics,
pawns.
the engine, they interact. Like it points, like after battles, they'll high five you in little clips. So like
That's cute.
It makes them more realistic, but they just keep saying such robot things that you're like, ugh. And I actually got rid of that one bitch that kept saying that. I was like, I got a different one because the pawns don't level up except your main one, so you have to constantly like
Toss them aside.
shuffle the other two. Your main one, he
Do
levels
they do
up with
different
it.
things?
They do different things. So in my group, I've like everybody's vocation is different at least,
Yeah.
which is why that bitch kept saying it. Like there's,
So you switched it to
and
someone
as the
that
game
same
goes on, I
location.
know you can get dual vocations, but right now I just have my main one, which is like warrior. There's the mage, there's the thief, or like the the rogue, and there's the like the bow and arrow person.
Ranger.
So I have all of those, and my main guy is a ranger. I wanted somebody with a bow because I kind of wanted to be somebody with a bow because I
like being people with a bow.
I like being people with swords, but it comes at the cost of like I wish some way I could fight at a distance.
Right.
Especially
with the things you fight in that game.
Sure.
They're
And
usually
I know
10 times your
at some
size.
point I can get I can do a dual vocation where I can have magic too, because that's kind of how I play Skyrim. Sword, magic. You know what I mean?
I was always stealth archer in
Sure.
Skyrim.
Everybody's different. That's what's good about these games, and that's another thing about it is like it's the jankiness about it almost makes it feel more like Skyrim. You know how some of the best things about Skyrim are just like the jankiness of it.
That's why Bethesda gets away with all the glitches.
Yes.
Because they're just kind of charming after a while.
Right. I think this one has that same. The world is big and very alive, just like Skyrim. Once again, 10 years later, but it's third person instead of a first person, which I know in Skyrim you can make it third person. But so there's that, and holy fuck, dude! One of the best things about this thing, which doesn't sound like one of the best things, but it is in a way, is there is no fast travel in this game at all. Map's fucking huge, but there's no fast travel.
So it's
and
forces you to get good.
It forces you to get good, and it forces you to find out. Like, for instance, I was fucking lost in the woods a couple days ago. Goblins, lizard monsters, all these things are wearing us down. Because after a while, you can't heal your health the whole way unless you camp, because you get hurt. It stays a certain level. I'm hurting.
You can't camp with
I
enemies.
see that, like, the place that I can get one of my pawns is dead, my main one. So like,
can you resurrect them?
You have to go back to a pawn stone, which is fucking forever from where I'm at. I'm just in the wilderness, and it like you can't fast travel, and that annoyed me at first. But I really enjoyed like having to survive, and like I just started walking, and I luckily stumbled upon a town.
Gives a better story.
It's annoying that you can't just fast travel, but it does make you feel more engrossed in a world than I have in a game in a long time. It's sort of like Baldur's Gate, but still different.
And I'm sure it forces you to get better at the game.
Sort of, yeah.
If you want to actually progress,
upgrade your shit, and yeah. I'll tell you what. When I realized there was no fast travel, and I was fucking what seemed like miles away from a town, I was just like, "What the fuck do I do? Like, how do I fix this? Like, how do I get out of this mess?" And you just have to. And if you die over and over and over, that's just what's gonna happen. And luckily, when you die, sometimes you can come back. And I died on this bridge fighting these lizard monsters.
Do you lose experience or anything?
Well, I didn't lose. Well, you lose whatever you got throughout that fight if you didn't, because it's one of those games where like your last save is where you're gonna load from, and there is autosave, but it's very random. But when I came back from where these lizards people had killed me, it was the same spot, but like where there were these lizard monsters, they weren't there anymore. There was like a goblin that I had to kill. So like the map's constantly changing.
Yeah.
You can kill
It's like a living world.
It's a very living world. And I think one of the things about the glitches is there are so many NPCs in the game that the people that are having this lagging issue, it's hard.
PC to handle that.
Sure. And like even on mine, when I go into the cities, it does lag a little, but it's not enough that it's like ever bothered me that I was like, I'm not playing this. I played it on Miranda's laptop, however. Whew, that struggled. It still played, but it was like, if this is how people's computers are looking, I get it. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Game of the Year. Coming into this game, people were talking like it was going to be the next Baldur's Gate.
I don't know if it has that reach.
It's good. I think it has the ability in a lot of ways. It just depends on your play style. Like for me, I like the battle system in this game more than Baldur's Gate. This is more
active,
right? And I'm more into those
turn-based.
kind of games. I still think Baldur's Gate 3 is the better game. It's great, but this is more of a game for me.
Right.
And I'm gonna keep fucking around with it, and I hope to beat it. Who knows? This year. It's not a very long story if you just play it, but I don't know.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of people playing that.
Yeah.
It's been Helldivers or that.
Right. Yeah.
People on Steam.
Yeah. Both games, a lot of talk was coming out before it came out.
Yeah.
And
it's been a good year for games so far.
There are a lot of good games still coming out that I'm really looking forward to.
Yep.
That as the weeks go by, we will be talking about on this show. But
yeah,
it's scary.
For sure.
Because how do you make time?
Oh, I wanted to ask you, speaking of Bethesda, are you excited for the Fallout series that's coming out?
Excited's a strong word. I'm not excited, actually. I'm not excited at all.
Oh.
But that doesn't mean I think it's gonna suck. I'm just like, I'll probably watch it. It as a show needs to make me more excited for it.
Yeah.
Once I start watching it. But I'm curious. Looks like it'll be good.
I like the stuff that they showed us so far.
The trailers have been good. Yeah. I think for me personally, like Bethesda and me, I've played Oblivion, I've played Skyrim, I've played Star. I've never really played Fallout much. So
That's
I'm not
right.
the biggest Fallout guy. I played a little bit of New Vegas. But I'm enough into video games to be like, I'll check this show out if it's good. And maybe I'll play the video games too.
I hope it is good.
It looks like it
I
might
keep
be
seeing
good.
previews about it. They are marketing it a lot.
Yeah. The only thing that worries me just a little is that they plan to drop, I think, the whole series on the same day, which they don't really do lately, especially Amazon. So that's like a scary thing sometimes. Is like, ooh, if they drop it all at once, is it good?
Right.
But I'm curious. It looks good. It looks like it'll be a better adaptation than like Halo's TV show.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they captured the world. And
Yeah.
like that's the Fallout world has always kind of been just like similar to Skyrim, like you can be anyone in the world.
And I think that's why for me too, it's like because I know less about it, it'll probably be a better show anyways.
Yeah,
because I'm not looking for characters that that's what's his face.
Yeah, there's no like set storyline. Like there's certain historical events that happen. But...
Dude, there could be a Skyrim show and I wouldn't be like, hey, that's a character. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Which is a game I've played too many times.
Yeah, so I think it's a good background for a new story.
Yeah. That comes out relatively soon, I think sometime this month.
Yeah.
Maybe even like next week.
I think it's soon.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I'm curious about it. I like what's on Amazon Prime a lot of the time. Most of their good shows I'm severely into. So, like I said, I liked Rings of Power.
Yeah.
It's not Amazon Prime's best work, but it's still pretty good.
I think Amazon Prime can put out some good stuff.
Well, one of the shows I was planning on talking about tonight is actually an Amazon Prime show.
What's that?
What a segue. So this week, because I was like, hey, I gotta get more stuff to talk about for the show, which now I'm sitting here thinking, I have way too much stuff to talk about for the show. We're still good, though. We're only an hour in. But I watched the second season of Invincible this week.
I thought it was going to be the second season of Invincible.
Dude, you watched the first season, right?
I've seen the first season.
Yeah, I think both of us watched it when it came out. And there was a long gap between seasons.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch any of it when season 2 premiered. And then I knew the last episode was coming out this week. So I was like, I'll just watch the whole thing this week.
Sure. How was it?
Best way to do it. I thoroughly enjoyed this season.
Yeah. Still gory?
Still very gory. Oh, yeah. It is The Boys, but a cartoon.
Right. They're riding that anti-superhero wave.
For sure. So what kind of put me off about watching it when it first aired, because even though I really liked the first season, there were things about it that I think with memory, I was like, I don't know. Like a lot of the first season is like, there's a story that plays out throughout the first season, but it is like every episode tells its own story on top of that. And sometimes certain episodes just have so much plot going on that I was like, and I was watching it week after week, and I was just like, I don't know what's even going on with this show right now with the first season.
Right.
But it all still worked out, and I still really liked it. But that's what kind of put me off. I was like, am I ready for like multiple storylines taking place in each individual episode with an overarching storyline? It didn't do that as much, and I appreciated that.
More streamlined.
There are still a lot of things going on in each episode that same way, but it's just like I never felt bored throughout any of the episodes.
That's good.
Where sometimes in the first season,
there's a few lulls.
There were lulls, and also the fact, I don't know, there was something about that week. You wait a week for an episode. It felt very Walking Dead-y. Like there was a lot of extra shit.
Yeah, Glenn.
Yeah, same thing. But with season 2, I just felt like when it was doing a lot, it used that time really well, and I really liked it. I thought it was a really good bingeable.
Some new characters
season.
We get to see.
Definitely some new characters, some new plot threads. A lot of what I really liked about it, I mean, it kicks off very hard with like, I mean, anybody who's seen the first season, I won't get into spoiler territory though. This is a show that came out 2 years ago, but there is an event where a main character doesn't lose. His dad doesn't die, but his dad is revealed to be like the worst guy in the world, and he kind of leaves the planet at the end of it. So now the season kicks off with like the fallout of Mark, the main character, Invincible, and his like mother and all the people around them dealing with this world where like their Superman essentially is this
asshole,
mass murderer, part of this like group of people that invade planets, yada yada yada. At one point he calls Mark's mom, he was like, I love your mom, but she's like a pet. So like how does a person who's been with somebody for 20 years, has a kid, a family, cope with this person thought of me like a pet? And there is
very icky feeling.
Yes, and they really dive into the characters this season in ways that I gave a shit about a lot of the time. Meanwhile, they're also playing like music, pop music-ish from like years gone by, so it feels like you're watching a real life show where they like slide like music in, but it's a cartoon. Yeah, it's a lot of that.
Would you say he's improved at his superpowers at all?
Yes and no. He
still, I'm sure, gets his ass kicked.
He still gets his ass kicked.
That's like his whole deal.
A lot.
Yeah.
But he does some things. God damn, honestly, he might do less. That proves that he is super strong in this one. He gets his ass beat a lot.
Yeah.
But it didn't bother me as much. Not that it bothered me in the first season, but in a way it kind of did. It was like, is a superhero gonna fucking kick somebody's ass already? Or what? You're introduced to a lot of different sub-villains and villainous characters and their motivations. Meanwhile, there's sub-plot lines going on with some of the non-main characters throughout all the episodes that you're also, like, super invested in as well. People die. Big characters die. There's a lot of bait and switches. I mean, I was super compelled. I had started it on a Monday, and I was like, okay, I'll probably watch an episode a day, so I want to make sure I get through every episode. But it got to the point where I was like watching 3 episodes a day because I was super in bed. Another reason why I was glad I waited till it was done to watch it, because there's there's a lot of episodes that end with just like, I felt so incomplete that I needed more, and that might have been some of what made the first season difficult for me.
Yeah.
But now I could just go to the next episode. The animation, I think, has gotten a lot better. I thought it was good in the last season, you could tell it was like a first season.
Yeah,
I think
rough around the edges.
A lot of that rough around the edges is gone in this one. I personally, I think they've mastered their characters. They've mastered their animation.
Good. They've leveled up.
They've really leveled. I mean, like I said, I like the first season. The second season, I can't wait for the third now. Like, I hope there's not a big gap because I really want to know what happens next. There's a lot of shit going on.
If they're following the comics,
there's
a lot of crazy shit that goes on.
I've never read the comics, so I'm just taking it episode by episode,
and it just gets very dark.
I bet. I mean, it already is super dark. There are things that happen. Sometimes they go back on, but they don't always go back on things, and you just kind of end an episode feeling kind of icky.
Right. Random people die all the time.
All the time. And, man, there's so many new characters that you get introduced to that I can't wait to see what they're going to do with as the show goes on. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this show. Anybody who doesn't know it, I mean, the comic was written by Robert Kirkman, the guy that did The Walking Dead, but it's his superhero take, and the first season was really good. I'd say the second season, for those who know The Boys, I mean, it really catches you like The Boys does as well, but in a cartoon style.
For sure. Yeah, you follow a superhero, but he's still figuring things out and is not the best at it. The whole irony of his name, Invincible.
Yeah. Because luckily he is invincible. Because
Right.
because of his power, he's
He can
like
take
super
a big
strong.
ass kicking.
He can take a big ass kick, and he's usually getting his ass kicked. Yeah. But I guess that makes it more compelling of a show, because you're watching a guy that you know is super strong, but
You know
usually
he has
gets his ass
potential
kicked.
to
Yeah.
not
Because
get
if
his
you
ass
followed
kicked.
his dad, like his dad is like, it wouldn't be as fun to watch.
Right.
Yeah.
Because his dad can
Do anything.
beat pretty much anything. Yeah.
Right.
He's Superman.
Basically. Yeah, essentially. So, yeah. I don't know. I went from being like, it's like when I saw Demon Slayer season 1 and then I watched Mugen Train. It was like, I was into it, but I was like, yeah, this is a show I watch. And then I went, oh, fuck, this is really good. I'm actually super interested in it. Yeah. And I think because Seth Rogen's a producer, writer on this show, as he is in a lot of superhero things. They really put out, he knows how to write superhero shows. He knows how to write that, like, that kind of genre's dialogue.
Without it being cheesy.
Yes.
It's being compelling.
It just feels very real, whether it's real people in The Boys or it's cartoon characters in Invincible.
Yeah.
And like each episode's 45 to 50 minutes long, so you know you're in for like a show that has some meat on its bones every episode you watch it.
It shows people aren't sick of superheroes, they're just sick of the same stories.
Sure.
Like, this is definitely a different kind of story than your regular superhero story.
And I mean, the second season goes even wackier with some things. Same with The Boys. Like,
it's not what you would expect, and that's refreshing.
It is. And it stands out, and it's fun. So if you were thinking about watching the second season, you can watch the whole thing now. And
I plan on it.
Like I said, the first 2 episodes were like fine. They were good episodes. It's really like the 3rd episode on where I was just like,
whoa,
we're in it. Let's see where this keeps going. Yeah, for sure.
Well, wonderful.
Yeah. Dude, if you want to throw in, I know you said you had a couple other things that you want to talk about, because I have one more big thing that I'd like to talk about.
Talk about one thing.
Right. I don't want to tell me another one of your things.
Yeah. So
this is an all new nerd shit episode by the Dubs.
So you know how I have sometimes weird taste in games? Or at least different taste in games.
Do I ever?
Yeah.
That's why it's probably why Dylan plays with you all the time, because I don't have those fucking...
Yeah. Well, I recently got one of the dorkiest games I've gotten so far.
Okay.
It's American Trucking Simulator.
American Trucking Simulator.
Yeah, Trucker
Simulator. I love that before you get into it, I love that you see American trucking as dorky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, because
that tells everybody the kind of people we are when you call truckers dorky.
It was dorky that I'm pretending to be a trucker.
Sure. Yeah.
And
you're living
that's
your
all
greatest
you do.
trucker fantasy.
You like, yeah.
Braden's playing RPGs when he's not even playing RPGs.
You can like upload like a music stream
Sure.
into the game, and like it comes in through your radio when you're a trucker. And you just drive around the country. You have to follow traffic laws.
You just drive. This game is just you driving on the interstate.
Yes, that's the game.
What else do you do?
You pick up and drop off freight.
It's like Jared's game that he just does his job in space, though. But except yours is just a guy on Earth's road.
Yeah.
Not even super Earth.
Yeah, and you make money from each successful haul.
As you should.
Yeah,
just like the people that drive trucks in real life.
You can eventually save up enough money to buy your own truck and start your own trucking company.
Of course. Oh my god.
Yeah, you can
So you can really level up the trucking world.
You can really bring in the
Is
cash.
there an end to this game, or do you just play it for eternity
it's
until
like,
you retire
it's an
or
RPG.
die?
You level up your
Can
trucker.
you crash the truck?
Yeah.
You can.
You can crash the truck.
Can you crash other people's car with the truck?
Yes, you lose money.
You can kill people.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, as you should lose it. You probably lose your job or your license. The game just says you can't play the game anymore.
I have broken a lot of traffic laws because it is realistic truck physics.
Yeah.
And so, like, it is like a heavy
What are you
vehicle.
hauling? Sorry.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hauled fireworks one time.
Okay.
I think like lubricants,
Lubricants.
like freight,
Okay.
some kind of freight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I just drive them back and forth. I don't
You're
really
just the
question.
guy in the truck.
Yeah, I'm just the guy in the truck. I don't ask questions what I'm hauling. I don't look in the back.
Yeah. You just take it to where it's gotta be.
Yeah, and you have to like check your mirrors and stuff, and like yield.
Right. The
Yield to
oncoming
traffic.
Maybe merge into the left
have to do
lane.
some merging.
Wonderful.
If it's raining out,
Just driving.
you got to turn the windshield wipers on,
Of course.
and you have to remember to turn
Be
your
hard to
headlights
see
on.
without it. Does it ever snow? It snow?
It can. You can
I
get
bet.
DLC.
Yep. DLC.
There's a ton of DLC.
Downloadable snow tent.
So,
Oh my god.
yeah, of like different states.
Of different states.
Yeah, it's like
You don't just travel the country?
no, it's like map accurate kind of. It's like a condensed version of these states. So you get to see like real sightseeing stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be some sort of draw in these fucking games.
You want to know what convinced me to get it?
What?
I read a
You
Steam
got
review.
stuck behind a truck on the interstate?
First off, it has overwhelmingly positive on Steam reviews.
Okay.
Um,
Is it new?
Out of like hundreds of
Did
thousands.
it just come out?
It's been out for a little bit.
Okay.
But I looked into the reviews, and the 1 5-star review was, he's like, this is one of those games that you're going to laugh at and not want to, and like not think it's going to be worth your while and that it's stupid to play. He's like, I have 300 hours into this game, and it like is taken over my life. I was just like, he's like, this is one of the best like made games I've played in a while.
Of driving a truck.
Yeah. To be fair, it executes
Did you
concept
check
very
in
well.
on this commenter and be like, perchance are you possibly a truck driver yourself, which is why you feel
One guy
this
said,
way?
one guy in the review, it's on the internet, so people lie, but one guy in the review said that he
You lying
became
to
a
me right
trucker because of this game.
Well, that was going to be the next thing. If the game is so good, I could see it inspiring
Like
people.
a guy literally said it inspired him to become a trucker.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, you're just a trucker.
Imagine if like I became an astronaut and I was like, yeah, dude, Halo Infinite really. I just had to. I just had to go to space myself. Never in a million years would I ever go to space. Ever.
People
Even
like
if the world was blowing
it's
up, I'd
pretty
be
relaxing.
like, ooh, I don't know if I want to go there.
It's pretty relaxing.
Most
You're
people
just driving.
die. I think this is one of my things. I always hear kids, and when you were a kid, maybe we're like, oh, maybe not you specifically, but you heard kids when you were a kid say that, when I grow up, I want to be an astronaut. And it's like, do kids know that most astronauts fucking die or never go to space?
Yeah.
And like, it's a rare occasion that they don't end up as one of those two things. For fuck's sakes, man. I just saw on the news like a couple months ago, Japan was like, we got on the moon. And I was like, you got on the moon, Japan? What the fuck took so long, dude?
India landed a probe on the moon not too long ago.
Dude, what is taking everybody so long?
Space programs take a while.
Yeah, well, America got there fucking forever ago. So I'm just shocked when I see it. But what I'm saying is, if you're a kid, maybe don't aspire to be an astronaut because you think space is cool. Because the chances of you actually being somebody that goes to space,
Well, the chances of
small.
even becoming an astronaut.
Even smaller.
You have
Do
to be like
something
the
else.
best of humanity.
Do something else.
Great advice from Chase the Chaz Screepeg. Do not.
If this
Don't
is your
follow your
dream,
dreams.
Give it up. Hey, sometimes you have to take a detour from your dreams to maybe be like, oh, this is actually better than my dreams.
Right.
If I was an actor right now, that would suck.
Yeah. Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, I'd hope not. God. But how about all that Nickelodeon shit?
I know. I haven't watched it, but I've
I
heard
haven't
a
watched
lot
it
of
either,
stuff.
but I've seen a lot of talking. It doesn't. You keep seeing people like, this changes my childhood. I'll never watch these shows again. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that, but like, it sucks that it happened.
For sure.
That's just that.
Oh my gosh, we did.
Spaceman movie.
Yeah. So Spaceman movie, a movie that Kaylee and I recently watched this week,
Okay.
is the new Adam Sandler movie.
Is it called Spaceman?
It's called Spaceman.
Okay.
It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix movie.
Of course, they're the only ones that are making Adam Sandler movies these days.
Yep. And it's a serious role for Adam Sandler. He is an astronaut
Okay.
that is in a probe on its way past Jupiter.
So it's not a comedy?
No.
Really?
No.
Huh.
It
It's
is
like Uncut Gems.
a psychedelic. I don't know, it's not like a thriller drama.
Yeah.
Like trippy.
Oh, I'm more interested now than I thought I was going to be.
Introspective. Like the whole concept revolves around Adam Sandler and how he's the loneliest man in the world because he's on this space mission by himself. He's also, it's for the Czech government. He's like Czech, like Czech,
Like Czech 1, 2, Czech.
Czechoslovakia,
Yeah.
or just Czech.
Checkers.
Yeah. So that's his name is Jakub.
Jakub.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler's
Jacob.
name is Jakub.
It's like Jacob, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
But anyways, Adam Sandler is a spaceman on his way past Jupiter because there's this mysterious purple cloud that showed up in the atmosphere of like around Jupiter around 4 years ago, and like you can see it from Earth, and like people don't know what it is. And Adam Sandler's like not doing too well. He's like, succumbed to loneliness. He has a wife back home, but she's like stopped returning his phone calls.
Not a lot of good service between here and Jupiter.
No.
Yeah.
But he does have a system.
I'd assume. I don't have good service at my mom's house.
He does have a system to communicate back to Earth. He communicates with his handler a lot. It's this guy, I forget his name. We'll call him Paul. But he talks to Paul, and Paul talks to him, and like helps him fix problems and stuff back on Earth. But yeah, his wife won't return his phone calls from the station, and so he's like not doing too well.
Bitches.
And then all of a sudden, he starts to like have these weird hallucinations of like a spider crawling out of his skin, and it was like a dream. He like woke up from it. But he's like not doing too well. His mental state is deteriorating, and like they note that back on Earth. And then all of a sudden, an actual giant spider crawls out and telepathically tells him like, it's okay, human. He calls him skinny human. Like, it's okay, skinny human, don't be alarmed. And Adam Sandler at first thinks he's like hallucinating and like goes back to bed. And then like he wakes up and comes back out, and like the spider's still there. And the spider again tells him like, it's okay. And then so Adam Sandler tries to like decontaminate the whole ship and kill him. And it didn't work at all. Like he basically hid and just came back out, and he's like, don't worry, like that didn't actually hurt me at all. And he's like very creepy looking. He's like this giant spider with the voice of Paul Dano. So Paul Dano voices the spider, who later is called...
How does he keep getting into weird fucking movies like this?
I
How?
don't know.
Okay.
But it's with Adam Sandler, of all people.
Sure.
Yeah, the spider eventually gets...
Because you know what's funny? Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but you know what's funny? The whole time you're describing this movie, one, I'm thinking to myself, I feel like I'm tripping just by hearing about it, but also it's making me think of fucking Swiss Army Man. And of course, the same fucking
Paul
guys in
Dano,
it.
yep.
So that's something.
Kaylee loves Paul Dano.
He's good. Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Have you seen Swiss Army Man? You should. That movie's amazing.
Yeah.
Go on.
Anyways, so yeah, the spider later on gets named Hanush, another Czech thing.
Sure.
Yeah. It's important that they're from the Czech Republic because it's mentioned multiple times.
Everybody's country is important to them.
Yes.
I'm American Chase.
But yeah, the movie is essentially just about his relationship with this spider as he floats past Jupiter. And as they get closer to their destination, he, starts tripping out more and more. There's like, a big mystery aspect to it of like, what's this purple cloud?
I'm going to watch this movie.
You should watch that movie.
I'm interested.
Yeah, that's all I'll say about it without giving up general spoilers. But that's about what the trailer would have shown anyways.
Maybe I'll take a back seat on editing this tomorrow, and I'll just watch this movie in the van.
It's not super long. It's like an hour. Was it an hour 40? 2 hours? Yeah, 2 hours. So like regular movie length these days.
Yeah, I'm curious. I am curious, dude. That sounds interesting to
It's a
say the
good time.
least.
It's a good time.
I love when Adam Sandler does something that's not comedy.
Yeah, it's like
These
another.
days. I love his comedies, his old ones. New ones aren't
It's
working
just, every
for me.
once in a while he'll puts out a movie to remind people he actually knows how to act.
Sure. Yeah, dude, I'm going to check that the fuck out. Cool.
Yeah.
That's a great recommendation. Thank
For sure.
you. Braden always
it a
comes
check
on
out.
the show with such, not a lot of people get to hear this one, but Braden came on last week last month when we recorded before and talked about Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Which if you want to hear him talk about it, you can hear it to some quality on our Patreon. But it just surprised me. Same as like this and the last thing you were on about. Both
got
of
my
those
mom
things.
into Bridgerton.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
Most moms are into Bridgerton. I don't think that was a hard thing to do.
Nope.
Is to get moms into Bridgerton.
You said, "Hey, mom, this would be right up your alley."
It was made for them.
Yeah.
It's made for moms and people that are gonna be moms.
Yep.
But my big thing I want to talk about tonight, and I'm talking big. I'm talking what I'm about to talk about. Big things involved in this. Big. Yeah, not the movie Big with Tom Hanks.
No.
Big, but
big butt.
Not butts.
Oh.
Not yet, comma, but instead of yet. That kind of butt.
Got it.
A butt that's similar to yes, not an ass. As you know, I saw Godzilla X Kong.
You sure did.
The new
I'm
Empire
excited to
last
hear
week.
about it.
And I'm happy to report to those that are going to see a Godzilla movie, knowing exactly what you're going to see a Godzilla movie for, you're in for a fucking treat, dude. This movie was kaiju-rific.
Wonderful.
Oh my god.
It looked like they're going full
Storyline? I'm sure you've seen it. Everybody that has a keyboard has said their thoughts on the story on the internet. But, you know, the human stuff, whatever.
Who cares?
Not the best.
Was never the focus anyways.
The monster stuff, dude. There is lots of monster stuff in this movie. And it's, I mean, to the point where there are entire scenes that is just Kong in the Middle Earth or whatever it is with the other monkeys doing stuff, communicating
Monkeying around
through monkey shit. And it's you're in it. You're in it entirely. You don't need a lot of dialogue.
Monsters, big monsters ally with each other against other big monsters.
Of course they do. And they all still fight nonetheless. So the movie itself, because like I said, the human stuff, what's happening with the human stuff matters to an extent. But the story of this movie to me is what's going on with the monsters. So that's how I'm going to talk about it. It's a movie where anytime King Kong's getting some sort of story, because King Kong, he's a gorilla, so he's kind of human-esque.
They focus on his story a
There's
lot.
more focus on the story around King Kong than a story, say, around Godzilla. And a lot of people who are Godzilla fans are like, well, if you like Godzilla, this movie might not be for you. Is there a lot more Kong? Is Kong more of a prevalent character in this movie than Godzilla is? 110%.
It's similar to Godzilla v Kong before,
Right.
because Kong was kind of like the
Exactly.
main
Like,
one we followed.
it's because Godzilla is a monster. Like, Godzilla is a force of nature. Like, where King Kong has like human, like he does like Marvel jokes, but like just being a gorilla.
Yeah.
Godzilla can't do that.
You
Like,
can't
if
emote.
you made Godzilla do that, it would ruin Godzilla.
He's supposed to be big and scary and like
Right.
kind of a mystery.
So he can't be that character. So whenever they do use Godzilla, it's good. You're happy. Like, it's not as much as King Kong, but it's still like
I
good
think less
Godzilla
is more
shit.
with this sometimes.
Yeah. And like it would go human, Kong story, whatever Kong did, Godzilla's storyline would kind of mirror it in its own way. And I really dug that. Because you're also just like, there are so many, like where with Godzilla versus Kong, it was like Godzilla and Kong fought on the ship. Godzilla and Kong fought in the city. Godzilla and Kong fight Mechagodzilla. There are so many little fights going on throughout this movie. It was like Kong fights something, and then it cuts to like a scene where somewhere in the world Godzilla is now fighting something, and then like they're slowly
Just a
getting their
monster
way
jam.
to each other. Yeah, and like they also fight again. Godzilla and Kong have like a quick little fight.
Yeah, I think that's typical MCU stuff. Of like the heroes have to
Yeah.
fight a little bit before
Just
they
a
team
little
up.
bit. Kong goes to like recruit Godzilla, and Godzilla's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you!" And then of course there's something happens, and
So Kong's the leader.
the story that is Kong is the one going to get Godzilla. So I wouldn't say he's the leader.
He needs the muscle,
He needs the muscle. He needs the help for the villains that they're fighting.
and the villain is. I'm assuming there's multiple villains, but I know the main one we saw in the trailer was
Right.
like the orangutan.
The
Kong.
orangutan Kong creature thing, yeah. And there's a whole backstory to what his deal is, and so they kind of put that like Godzilla and Kong currently don't fuck with each other because Godzilla, his territory is like Earth, and Kong's territory is
in the
that
middle
Earth type of whatever that is, center
Earth.
Hollow Earth. So that's the whole thing. And if like one ever crosses the other will come for them. So that's their like what they got going on. The balance. So they set that up. And so Kong's exploring the center Earth, and he stumbles upon these other he finds other Kongs. Like there's a whole storyline of like Kong still is the only one. Like he hasn't found other gorillas, and then he finds other gorillas, and he finds that they're enslaved by this fucking crazy orangutan gorilla who is like an ancient deity that fought like a Godzilla in centuries time, and Godzilla's the one that banished him to Hollow Earth. Yada yada yada.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, there's a whole like monsteries. It's stupid. Don't get me wrong, but that's what this is.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of presumptuous to think that Kong would be the strongest thing in the Hollow Earth. And
he still sort of in a way is. Like, so this orangutan thing, Kong could just kick its ass. So it's a villain that like you know is strong, but you kind of know is weaker than Godzilla or Kong. But he has control of a Titan that's like really fucking strong, like a big ice dragon thing. So that makes him like more powerful because he controls this thing. He has like one of its scale that allows him to like
manipulate it.
And I mean, it just sets the stage for all these great fun. Like at one point, he's traveling with the little Kong to go to the little Kong Empire, and they fight like this snake monster thing. So there's this whole fight where Kong's fighting this like snake demon thing, and then it cuts to a Godzilla scene where like, oh, now Godzilla has to fight like an ocean snake Titan thing and absorb its power. You were always just greeted with like everybody's chance to show what they got.
Right. It gives you exactly what people have been asking for, which is just focus on the monster stuff more.
Yes. And like, I didn't hate the human. Like the human stuff, I was like, oh, get back to more of the monsters. But I was still just like, whatever cheesy, stupid shit they got going on.
I do feel like it's needed. It just shouldn't be the focus.
It's the perfect, to me, it's like if they do another one like that, where it's like humans that much, monsters as much as you use them there, I'd also be satisfied. We saw it on a huge IMAX screen. We got very fucking close. And I mean, I was just in this fucking movie, dude. There were so many things that I saw. I like it more than Godzilla versus Kong because there's just more of what I liked, you know?
Yeah. Which is what this movie looked like it was going to deliver.
Yeah. And there are certain fights that take place in it that I'm just like, what a creative. There's a point where like when they're all teamed up, when it's the tag team match, they're in this portion of Hollow Earth where gravity's fucked up. So there's just this like anti-gravity Kaiju fight going on, and I was like, I didn't need this, but this is fucking awesome.
Speaking of gravity, do they still feel big, like when they move around?
Okay, so when they're in Hollow Earth is so huge that the whole time I was like, is Kong and all them really that big? Like they seem
this is like a weird perspective.
Normal size, but then they get back to normal Earth for a fight at the end, and even the baby King Kong is like bigger than buildings. So you're like, oh, you do get, there is perspective shifts, but like they make sense. They like answer themselves throughout it, I guess is what I mean.
Right.
God, but that was the thing. When I saw that little Kong storming through whatever city they fight in at the end, I was just like, oh, right. Yeah, this thing is still a giant
huge
monster. Thing, yeah, dude, I saw Godzilla suplex Kong at one point.
Which I didn't even know he was capable of.
Dude, neither did I. But when it happened, I was just like, did I just fucking see Godzilla suplex King Kong?
Was that during their little tiff?
It was during their little tiff. Yeah. I was just like, dude, oh my God. I didn't know how bad I needed
you're all right
that.
With me.
Yeah, they find a reason to team up.
Common enemy.
A common enemy and a common friend bring them together. There is a mystery monster in this movie that appears.
I think I know who it is.
I bet you do. I'm sure you've probably even seen things about it.
Seems probably pretty.
The movie's been out for almost 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like I said, even when I text you about it, just go check it out. I mean, it's just a fun romp of a movie.
I plan on seeing it eventually.
Yeah. I wanted us to try and go see it before, but having a kid kind of makes that difficult.
Understandable.
But if you like the first one, and this is to anybody listening, if you like the first Godzilla vs. Kong movie, you're on board with this one. It made a lot of money. They're probably going to make another one.
Is Godzilla purple in this one?
Godzilla absorbs a power that makes him like his scales pink.
Okay.
He himself is the same color he always is, but his scales, instead of turning blue, they turn pink. Some new energy, that he absorbs. So,
because he's nuclear.
yeah, and it's to give him a power up against these fights that he gets into. And I mean, man, Godzilla fights. So Kong is fun to watch fight because he's like, he's like a person. He knows like moves, fighting moves. I love that they just make Godzilla just, other than the suplex, which worked for me too, he just he is the tank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just plowing into guys whenever there's fights. So I'm just like, oh yeah, give me more. Give me more.
You always expect Godzilla to win after he powers up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's Godzilla. And I love that these movies also respect that. Because there are even times where Godzilla seems like he's getting beat by Kong, but there's always reasons, and there's always something that makes you go like, oh no, that's right. Godzilla is still the king.
Right.
But they're close. But it's still Godzilla. And I love that. I respect that.
Gotta show Kong as a legitimate threat, but not enough to...
This is certainly Kong's movie.
Yeah.
It's Kong's movie more than it's Godzilla's. But they do let you know that Godzilla is, the one.
I figure because it gets a lot more into the Kong backstories. And
oh, for sure. I mean,
all that.
Kong essentially also gives the finishing blow. So it's like, But it ends really fun. And like I said, they don't really linger on the human shit for a lot of it. The human shit, there's like a couple characters from the last movie and then a couple new characters. And they're fun. They're fun, goofy movie. I've heard people describe them as like, there's a couple characters that feel like they know they're in a movie.
Is Billy Bobby Brown in it?
Billy Bobby Brown is not in it.
Oh.
She didn't make a return. She did not make a return. The little Asian girl that has a telepathic connection with Kong is in it. And she has a storyline.
She's in the other ones too.
Yeah. So, I dumb movie, great movie is what we reviewed. Kong versus Godzilla. I'm gonna say the same thing, except I'm gonna say dumb movie, amazing movie.
Right.
If they do another movie with even more monster action in it, like I said, seeing it on that big screen, right fucking in it. I mean, this is top quality kaiju monster CG at its best fighting. The one thing about the movie that I will say has nothing to do with the movie, but why Miranda and I were so close to the screen is because when we went to see this movie, 2 seats from Miranda, there was a man who every 35 seconds to a minute would go,
Oh.
and it drove us fucking bonkers. We were also kind of high, so it was funny. Like, we were also laughing at this guy, but we were just like, we cannot put up with it. That would
drive me insane.
It went on. We probably watched the first 35 to 40 minutes of the movie of this guy, and he didn't do it through the previews. So all of a sudden, like, Miranda was like,
they're in the important parts.
Happening. You didn't do it to begin with. So finally, she like got up to go to the bathroom, and then I saw her come back from the bathroom and sit like really close. And I was like, I'm gonna go up there with her, and so that's why we ended up very close to the screen. But
close to the action.
So glad we did. But also, fuck that guy. Like, there were times, I'm at a point in my life where if something pisses me off, I'm just gonna voice it. And I just wanted to look at that guy and be like, yo, dude, go blow your nose. Like, what are you doing? I don't know how anybody next to him or with him wasn't like, hey, what the fuck are you doing?
Shut up.
Could you stop snorting? Even when he had like little ones that could just be like a... Like, it would just be that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? It was grossing Miranda out. And then I was paying attention to it. And I was like, all right, this is probably my most anticipated movie of this year.
It's going to be ruined by the snorter.
Yeah, I got to get out of here. It sounds like I'm sitting by a pig kaiju. Fuck. But we moved to a point where, like, I still heard him from time to time, but Miranda didn't hear him at all. So It was like, fine. We were good.
Yeah, it's a good balance.
And once the monsters really got rocking, it was like, snort away, sir.
Get that stereo out there.
Yeah. Good. We were with a good crowd. Movie ended. People cheered. I was like, that's what I'm about. It's always
a good sign. I haven't been in a movie theater where the audience cheered in a while.
Me too. Honestly, dude, I can't think of too many times. But that movie ended and people cheered, and I was
Endgame
was a big one.
I remember.
Endgame was certainly a big. That happened. Yeah, that was just an event. It was cool. I was happy about it. I was like, yeah, I'm with good Godzilla. If you like Godzilla, if you're into what Godzilla is, this is for you. Especially coming off Monarch, which was just like really good story with just like some really awesome Godzilla moments. This was like weak story, but like lots of... I saw Godzilla suplex Kong, dude. I saw Godzilla fight in anti-gravity, dude. Such a good fucking movie. And if you like Kong...
And I'm sure he blasted people.
Oh, of course he did. He's just shooting that thing around nowadays.
Can he still do the thing in the first movie where he can just, like, be, like, a nuclear bomb and just, like, eradicate anything?
So, that's in the second one. But he does kind of do something like that in this movie, too. It doesn't... Not to the same results where, like, he wins the fight because of it. But it is an effect that he can... If he absorbs enough radiation, he can do that.
Right.
But he doesn't always have the enough radiation around.
He does use radiation a lot.
A lot. It's his basically his whole thing. Yeah, it made a fuck ton of money. It made like $80 million just in America over the first weekend. So they're probably going to make more. And the director has said like the next movie will probably be a more Godzilla focused type of movie.
It's amazing. It's the second most successful extended universe.
Most successful. And it just, if you just, I don't know what the answer is because it's like Marvel and Godzilla, very different, but they're both spectacle movies, and I think that's the thing. You got to make if you're gonna make a cinematic universe, there has to be a spectacle behind it.
They're all events.
Yeah,
that's why I feel like a lot of people's recent criticisms of Marvel come from is that there's not a lot of like event movies coming out anymore.
Sure,
where like a lot of people get in line to go see it.
Yeah. Not with like the way things have been, at least.
No.
Yeah. We just watched Infinity War last night and forgot how much I truly love that movie as well.
Yeah.
I could probably record a whole podcast just about my opinions on Infinity War upon this rewatch.
I haven't seen it in a good while. I'd give it a rewatch.
Watch it for a movie for what it is, like, and when you're really paying attention to shit, it's like this is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is really good. This is what movies are made for.
Cinema.
Cinema. Even though some people don't think it is. It is
Martin
a type
Scorsese.
And like cinema is it's all different. And like this is just a certain brand of it, and it's the best of that brand.
Yep. It's a dominant brand.
And Infinity War and Endgame really.
I don't think it'll always be the dominant brand.
No, probably not. But I think it will always be remembered, at least in the time that it did.
As a juggernaut.
Yeah. We'll see if we can get back to it, but man.
I think it will be around still for a long time.
I think so too. I don't think they're going to give up.
No.
The Walking Dead is still on. Like, they're not going to stop the MCU.
Right.
Because of a couple stinkers.
Do you think they'd reboot it?
We'll see.
Do you think people would care?
I think people would care. I said it because I know I'd probably care. And I know there's crazier people than me. Hard to believe, but I know there is. So, I don't know. I think they're getting very wacky with the comics, which they need to do. But I forgot how well they got wacky with comics in Infinity War and Endgame that I'm just like, when they know what they're doing and they get wacky, this shit is the best it can possibly be. Yeah. I mean, all I could think watching Infinity War last night was like, this is literally one of the event comic books brought to screen. Like, they just did that and fucking nailed it. And I just love it. Because anytime I read any of these event comics, they just throw you into a mess. And you just pick up the pieces. And that's Infinity War and Endgame. They're just like, here's a fucking mess that our heroes are in. Yep. You ready to go on with it? See how it figures itself out?
And now, currently, they're in the Jonathan Majors mess.
Yeah.
Real life mess.
I guess. I mean, they fired him, so they're working their way through that mess. But
yeah, we'll see how I'm interested to see how they'll adapt to the situation.
Me too. I have faith.
Maybe it'll be good.
I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop now, so.
No.
I'm just not as enthused as I was about it when I saw Endgame. But I am pretty pumped for the next Godzilla whatever type of movie.
Yeah, at least you have that to look forward to.
Truly.
Even if other things are bad.
And there's gonna be so much bad between now and then, for sure.
I feel like they got the formula down for the Godzilla movies now.
Yeah,
where it's hard to make it bad for what people are asking.
And like, it's not the same as the MCU where you can pump out a bunch of superhero movies in a year. It's like it's a Godzilla Kong movie. Every couple of years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You don't need them.
You don't need to overload that shit. And where they do build on it, really good. Monarch, really fucking good. Yeah. So like, keep doing that, and I'm happy. Make dumb, fun movies, and you can fill in the plot with other little things, and I'll jump around. But Godzilla comes from a very special place in my heart. I've watched these movies since I was little, and seeing them like this now it's like a dream come true. I just continuously keep watching all the shit that I loved when I was a kid that people might have made fun of me for become the coolest fucking things on the planet, and I love it.
I think Godzilla is one of those medias that will be around forever.
Probably. If Japan has their way.
Right.
But I agree. And I'd watch it until I die. And I will do the same probably with superhero movies. Because that's just what I'm into. Fuck, I'm on an award-winning podcast called Nerd Shit in the Dark.
Yep. Emmy award-winning.
Good. We had a good night at the Emmys. But we won't tell you that here.
No.
Save that for the Patreon. But, fuck, dude. Fuck. I just remembered I had something else I wanted to talk about.
What?
Shogun.
Oh, yeah.
We're already so far in, though. I can't start Shogun now.
Do you want to save it for...
I will save it because it's not done yet. So maybe it'll be better if I wait till it's over.
I think you should wait. Yeah, wait till it's... Yeah.
I've been so stoked to talk about it.
I want to get into that.
So what I will say for our podcast here tonight, though, something to look forward to, a little out of the dark, in the dark, out of the dark, new segment next time on Nerd Shit in the Dark. I think I'm gonna be talking about the Shogun show on FX.
Yeah, you're gonna Shogun us.
I'm gonna show
what the Shogun's about.
Everybody, this show's awesome. Fucking awesome. I'm loving it. FX is putting out a real winner with this one. I'm not gonna get too deep into it.
Do people get sliced in half?
Not as much as you'd think. People do get sliced. There's not a whole lot of slicing
in
there
half. Katanas?
There's a very realistic point where, like, there's a scene where a guy is telling a story about one of the main characters from when they were young, and the story was how he chopped, like, somebody's head off in one swift blow. And then later in the episode, the guy is talking to, like, somebody that was there that day, and he was just like, why didn't you call bullshit on that? I didn't kill that guy in one. Like, it took, like, 5 or 6 chops before I got his head off. So it's realistic. It's very real. And me saying it like that is not how it sounds at all, because it's Japanese and you read subtitles. Not for all of it. There is an English-speaking main character. It's a really good, back and forth.
Of course there is.
There's a dub, but I wouldn't watch it. I just watch it in Japanese. Because a lot of it is like they need translators to talk to the English guy, and the English guy talks to the Japanese, and like, so it would be weird if everybody was just talking English and he's just like, what did he say? And it's like, what do you mean, what did he say? So I say watch it in Japanese if you watch it. It's fucking awesome, dude.
I'll give it a try.
This show is really good, and I'll get more into it next time, but it's, 1600s Japan, feudal Japan, mixed with
Prime Samurai time
with churches messing in on stuff. There's a lot going on. There's the name, it's kind of about inducting the next shogun. Currently there isn't one.
Right.
But, that's all I'll say about it now, though. That's for next time.
On Nerd Shit.
On Nerd Shit in the Dark.
In the dark.
Yeah.
Glad to be back.
I am as well.
Back in the New York
Needed
groove.
the break. Didn't know how much I needed the break till I was in it, like, hard.
Yeah.
But glad to be back.
It's good to have a vacay.
It is. Yeah.
Reset.
What was like last April when I first started putting this shit on Spotify, so I was like, I've been focusing on this a lot for like a year now. Let's take a break. Let's get some new equipment. Let's make sure I know what I'm doing.
And ease ourselves back in.
I do anticipate having our video back for the next episode. Really want to get back into that, but I just really wanted to master.
I think that's a good call for the return.
Yeah, I agreed.
Leave them wanting a little.
Yeah. Show them our worth. And like I said, if you want to listen to the good quality conversation, but dog shit audio, I will put it up on the Patreon so you can go on there and listen to it. It won't be on Spotify. I refuse to make us sound like that. Hopefully this episode sounded really good for everybody, and expect a rise in quality with every episode to come from here on out.
Hopefully we both recorded.
Yeah.
But I've been seeing
we can literally
my
see
little
it
thing.
now. Yeah.
My voice thing
I'm
go up.
not worried at all.
Good.
Well, Braden.
Well, Chaz.
Braden.
Chazin.
Chazin.
Chisel.
Chisel. Sea Dog.
Sea Dog.
Yeah.
Your boy.
Your boy Sea Dog.
Your boy Sea Dog.
I just ordered some shoes, and they're Nikes, and I got to create them myself. And on the back, you could put whatever you want. Like
you put your boy Sea Dog?
I just wrote Sea Dog.
Oh.
It just says Sea Dog on the back of
That's
these
cool.
shoes. It feels cool.
That's really cool. No, I'm serious.
It felt cool to do. I was like, dope. So
no, I think that is really dope.
I can't wait to show them to you when they come in.
Yeah. I can't wait either.
I've been wearing Skechers like a fucking dad for a year and a half
like
now, so I'm
not
ready
cool person.
Yeah. Ordered me some Nikes, or as my dad calls them, Nikes.
Nikes, yeah.
Nikes. So
that's a cool name to call them.
Hey, they're named after Michael Jordan, so like Mike, like Nike, even though that's not it. But some people call it that. I don't know. Just a couple things I had on my mind. But
good. Well,
how about we go check out WrestleMania?
Let's
see what's
do that.
going on there.
Is it still going on?
I think it probably is still going on, but I'm gonna fucking rewind it and watch it from where we left off.
It's still a big event. It fills up that stadium.
Dude, this year it's WrestleMania 40. It's a big one. It's like a
it's an event.
It's one of the biggest ones, I think. I haven't watched WWE or F since I was like 11. So like the fact that I've got Peacock to watch this, I think says something.
Right.
Fucking Rock came back. So
it's entertaining.
We'll go have a little fun watching that. But on that note, anything you want to leave off to the shitters before we go?
Just that I love them, and I hope that they sleep well.
Yeah. As they should.
Yeah.
So
and I'm watching them.
He's watching you while you sleep.
Yep.
But it's Braden.
Looking over them. I'm harmless.
Yeah. You know he's harmless. You've heard him on this show.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. So, before you fall, just remember, and think about this as Braden whispers it into your ear tonight as he's watching you sleep. But good night.
Sleep tight. Don't let the shit
bugs bite. Good night.
Good night.